Uh,
Yes.
uh, was not expecting it to be what I thought it would. That was one hell of a JRPG, but then again, this is like the first and only Digimon game I've actually played. Uh, but you were basically begging, you were wringing my neck for me to get this game.
Like, we rarely get new Digimon content as is. So anytime something can come through the pipes down to us, we have to take advantage of it. I just found it weird since, as I told you before, Cyber Sleuth is a sequel, and the first game was on the 3DS. We didn't even get that.
Well, here's the thing about that. You could still play this game without knowledge of the existing, without knowledge of the existing games. Like those characters there are purely there for fan service reasons, and I don't want to go into huge spoiler territories, but how she got introduced is pretty much establishing that yeah, there's alternate continuities going on and shit. So you don't have to have knowledge of anything from the anime or even pre-existing games to fully enjoy this one. Speaking as somebody whose knowledge of Digimon doesn't go much farther than um, about a quarter into Adventure 02. But how you were following this game more than I was. How did this game get localized? Like how close were you into it? Because I didn't
Uh,
get this game until like a couple months later when it was on sale digitally.
well, it involved a lot of yelling at
Of
Bandai.
course, because Bamco needs to get their shit together most of the time. They're not as bad as other
Like,
companies, but yeah.
like a lot of people were really annoyed at Bandai because of the fact they just refused to localize most games that would sell in the West. Digimon being
Being one of the IPs.
one of them. And really, like the way we got it. For one, if you notice there was like a bunch of weird catches to it, like it also sparked a PlayStation 4 release,
Yeah, because it was
which
originally a PS Vita game, but then they ported it,
yeah,
made an upscale port, and I heard that there were physical copies for the Vita version, but for PS Vita owners, I heard it was digital only, which some people were peeved about. But the fact that we got this game in general was a miracle, from what you've been telling me.
yes, but it was just really weird how that all played out because the fact that they did make a physical version for PS4 but not for Vita, and I just have a feeling that like they don't have a lot of confidence in the Vita anymore.
Most
But
companies don't, and Bandai Namco is one of them. I mean, there are some like Sony. At least Sony of America doesn't have that much confidence in the PS Vita, but there are publishers like Facom and Exceed and that they would try to make Vita games and those audience members happy. And I'm glad they are because I'm a proud PS Vita owner and player. I mean, I just got done playing Zero Time Dilemma, which we won't talk about because I don't want to hit spoiler territory for that game either. We'll wait until way down the pipe until everyone's finished with it. But yeah, Bandai Namco is also one of those companies that just doesn't that sometimes they would make physical copies, but I heard it's only exclusive to like Asian and European areas, and most of us just get stuck digital only, and that sucks because digital only PS Vita games take up a lot of memory, and memory cards are like a huge bitch with the PS Vita to this day to deal with. But the file size of Cyber Sleuth wasn't that big. It was only 2.5 gigs on PS4. It has to be smaller on the Vita.
I think it was about the same
Hmm.
actually. I remember having to delete Borderlands to be able to download it.
Not a big loss, in my opinion.
Yeah, not really. It just came with
Oh,
the
so you
Vita.
got that bundle.
So
I have a story
yeah.
about that, but that makes me feel sad because I recommended a PS Vita to a guy to a dude's daughter who and he told me he's a divorcee too, and this this was the holiday season when Sony got hacked and nobody could get into their PSN accounts, and I think Borderlands was a digital code, and oh, I don't know. I'm just hearing the worst case scenario where he can't visit his daughter ever again, but that's just my imagination going wild. But not to stray too off topic, Digimon Story, you were following the game. Apparently, people were punching down Bandai Namco to get this game localized. I was all meh about it until after we went to the Digimon panel at Louisiana this year. And I was like, all right, I'll give Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth a chance. And I'm glad I did. Like, the game was on sale. Like, it was still full price when I was looking around physically, but it was on sale during Japan's Golden Week. They actually had a Golden Week sale for $35. I decided to pick it up then. And I do have the first couple hours streamed of my first time experience, and I was like, wow, this is actually resparking my love for the franchise all over again, because the story is like much more interesting, much more darker. It was definitely aimed for at least a teen audience and older, and the game got no localization. Well, there was some translation bullshit, but the game got no censorship, which is like a very touchy subject for niche gamers like you and me.
Like it, the way it was all
Let's just say
handled and
if the game did get some edited censorship, then Kyoko wouldn't look like what she does now in the game.
yeah, it's just I feel like the fan base of Digimon has grown older, and one of Digimon's main issues is it's always had a hard time, always had a hard time trying to pick up younger audience members over time. Because if you notice, their like stories try and get more and more mature down the
Yeah,
road,
this game
and
especially.
I think they've only recently tried to like bring back a younger audience, and I think they're doing that again with Appymon,
Huh.
uh, which a lot of people are skeptical about, but I'm going to put my hope in it if the execution is well done.
Really, I could give a fuck less
But
about that. There's another Digimon game that that came out for the Vita this year, and I want that localized. Digimon World Next Order.
yeah, getting a new world game is something a lot of people would want because World plays a little bit differently than what Cyber Sleuth
Yeah,
does.
Cyber Sleuth was a game that 90% of the time it strictly took place in parts of cyberspace or in Tokyo, Japan. You really don't venture into the digital world, but apparently Digimon World you can. So let's actually talk about the game itself. I think we covered enough of the behind the scenes stuff. Um, it is a traditional turn-based JRPG where you can have three Digimon in battle at the same time, and you can have eight in reserve if you have enough memory and stuff. It's a gameplay system that's, a little complex, but very, very simple and easy to follow. I mean, they tell you outright how much damage each attack does. And of course, you have to factor in weaknesses in Digimon types and elementals as well. Data vaccine free and virus. And then you got earth, light, dark, fire, water. Yeah, your basic stuff. Um, Random encounters are in the game, which was something that's a huge pet peeve of mine in JRPGs, and it did bug me a little bit in this game. But there is an ability where you can get rid of them altogether if you just want to venture through an easy level dungeon, just progress through the next side quest or whatever.
I know what was about to say. Did you know you had that right away, or did you just realize it much
Like,
later?
no, I didn't have that right away. I had the ability to lower the random encounter rate, but Shin Megami Tensei had like very similar items that did that, but they were fucking useless to me at the time. Like, reduces enemy encounter rate. I'm like, okay, I'll take that. 2 steps later, enemy encounter. Fuck.
Well, the way it works is depending on the level of your Digimon at the front of the party is less than the encounter rate, then you enter a fight.
Hmm. But yeah, and the story was. Why don't we actually talk about the story since the game is called Digimon Story? Let's not go into too much detail over it, but let's.
Okay, well, we'll start with the simple. I played a guy, you played a
Yeah,
girl.
they both have the last name Aiba. Um, that really didn't change anything in of our game because the game still treats it as if you're playing a male character, and this is something with the criticism. Like the biggest criticism would have to be some of the localization just seems so shoddily translated because in Japan they didn't use any pronouns to specify the genders, so they tried to make it as neutral as possible. But there were times where they actually referred to my character as a he sometimes, which makes my character almost look like a lesbian.
Yeah, that game really did like making that happen.
Yeah,
You seem like a person who's interested in girls.
yeah, that side quest. That was a weird one too. So yeah, then we venture into a place called Eden, which is basically this new cyberspace program. Crazy shit happens when you meet with your two hacker friends, and then you don't even have a physical body anymore. Your body's completely digital at this point. And then some mysterious woman dressed in white and black comes in, tells you she's a cyber sleuth, and she was looking for an assistant. Really shitty tasting coffee. Um, and the weird thing is about that game is the most common starter Digimons are always Agumon and or Gabumon, but those actually belong to one of the side characters this time.
I think the reasoning behind that is you used them in the first game, the one that was for the 3DS,
Oh,
and they probably didn't want to do it like a repeat setup, so
I heard it.
they
I heard it's the same case for the next Digimon game, anyways. But whatever. The thing is, you get to choose between one of three different starter Digimon that you can still eventually get in the game. You can either get Palmon, Terriermon, or Hagurumon. I chose Palmon because that's the plant type Digimon from Adventure, um, which is my
I
bias.
choose Terriermon because I liked blue jeans.
Yeah, he digivolves into I forgot what was that form called?
I can't remember off the top of my head either. I just call him blue
Blue
jeans.
jeans with a machine with an ammo
With
belt and two machine gun arms. That was another thing I liked about Digimon over Pokemon. I just like the designs of the Digimon a lot more. Like they were definitely crazy and creative.
yep,
Like there's this one Digimon I got that's a freaking biker with two sawed-off double barrel shotguns.
you mean one of the best Digimon.
Yeah, he definitely is one of the best Digimon, and apparently when the Western audience got pre-ordered this game, you can actually get an advanced mode of his as free DLC. But it, and I guess it stuck just for those people apparently because that DLC never got available. The free mission packs did, but not not Beelzemon Blast mode.
I got him
Yeah,
though.
you did, son of a bitch. Um, is he any good? Have you used him?
Not yet.
Huh.
I was using like the dark incarnations of Omnimon.
I didn't know how to get those, so um, but the game, it's chapter structured, so there's 20 chapters in the game altogether, and you can still do side missions, and most of the side missions are pretty entertaining. They do feel like funny filler episodes of a Digimon show. And I noticed that there's a lot of cat girl maids all over the place. Hmm.
But the best girl works in a music store.
Yeah, I think yeah, Reiko Tower. That mission was fun, and that mission made me wish the game did get an English dub when localized, because when you do her mission, um, apparently somebody was like replacing music at the stand, some really shitty sounding music, and it turns out it was Edamon, the fucking monkey puppet Digimon that talks like Elvis Presley in the English dub. And I was like, God damn, if this game only had a dub. I miss that voice so much.
Like it was, I knew because of how tooth and nail it took to get this localized that it wasn't going to get a
Yeah,
dub.
but they did have a trailer for the game. Did you know this? There was a trailer for the game that actually had narration by Kyoko Kurami in English.
I believe I did see it.
They did put a disclaimer saying, yeah, this game wasn't going to get dubbed, but we're still going to put this little narration there to hook the audience.
Yep, the old bait and switch.
Um, but yeah, despite the game being very, uh, there isn't that much hinges in the localization other than a few mistakes and whatnot. But they still kept the Digimon names. They still kept the translated Digimon names from the show. Like Tailmon is still Gatomon. Vamdemon is still Myotismon, etc., etc. It's the signature attack names that get wonky in the translation. Like Anjumon's attack, instead of being called Hand of Fate like it was in English, they actually still kept it as Divine Fist.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because for the longest time in the game, I had like the attack animations turned
Oh,
off.
you did?
So it was like, why why am I not seeing all these really cool animations that I'm supposedly seeing everywhere else? And then just went to settings and for some reason it was turned
Nah,
off.
mine was set to default normally, and it only works on the character's signature attacks. Like there are some really cool animations, but this game definitely has a low budget feel to it, which doesn't bother me all that much. Um, but yeah, it's kind of like Pokemon Stadium's animations where they do an attack and then instead of having the two characters share the same screen while doing the attack, it's enemy attacks, then it cuts to the person receiving the damage from that enemy, and then so and so. Uh, yeah, we're all over the place. But all I'm trying to say is this was a really fun game. I put about 75 hours into it, beat the game. Might do a new game plus sometime down the line, but I got another backlog to focus on. Um, I probably would have been done sooner, but something weird happened. I got
What?
addicted to grinding.
Uh, it's probably one of the reasons why you did a lot more than I did
Well, yeah, here
because
in this game you can still digivolve and de-digivolve your Digimon, and the routes are really weird. Um, Not every Digimon has a very linear route. Like you can digivolve a Tentomon into a Kuwagamon or something if you want to. Like the routes are really interesting. It's definitely more freeformed. Um, like to give you an example of one of my Digimon, I started out with a Warmon, then it digivolved into an Ice Devamon. Then I de-digivolved it into a Demi Devamon. And then I re-digivolved it into regular Devamon. And then I digivolved that into a Myotismon, and then digivolved that into a Piedmon, and then I de-digivolved it back into a Myotismon, and then I de-digivolved it back to, oh god, I want to say, no, I want to say I de-digivolved it back into something else. I want to say a Dark Dramon or something that led to a Dark Dramon, and then I used that Dark Dramon to DNA digivolve with a Bancho Leomon to form a Chaosmon. So all that from one Digimon that I kept in my roster, and he ended up like learning more skills, and I actually had to get rid of some of the weaker learned skills. So that's how crazy the game's Digivolution routes, and grinding is kind of a bitch in this game because the game's normal difficulty. I will admit it is really too easy. I can understand why they added a harder difficulty when this game got localized, and I heard it was patched in the Japanese version too. So it feels like for the most part that you over leveled until you get into a boss fight with Jimmy Ken, which I want to talk about that when we talk about the characters. But I did look up on online that there were some really interesting tactics to, help get experience a lot faster when grinding. And it involves platinum Sukamons, which are metal shit turd Digimons. Sounds stupid, I know, but those guys are helpful for EXP boosting. Farming for tactician USBs, and then combining that, going to higher level dungeons, and then I would get like 70 or 100,000 EXP to level up my Digimon. Like some of my starter Digimon will go from level 1 to level 35 or more after one battle. And because of that is when I got went overboard and decided to like get my hands on certain Digimon that I probably would never use in my party just for collection's sake. Like, okay, I want to get all the Mega Digimon from a venture. I want to get this Digimon. I want to get that Digimon. I don't know if that Digimon's going to be useful to me, but I'm going to get like and I even showed this off on Twitch. Like in 20 minutes, I went from having a Koromon, a baby type Digimon, to a fucking Machine Dramon, a Mega level Digimon, in like 15 to 20 minutes.
And then, like, some of the DLC boss fights get pretty out
Oh,
there.
you didn't fight. You said you didn't do them, right?
I didn't, but I've heard things from people who
All right.
did.
When you do get to that point in the game, you are going to fucking hate Lusamon. That's all I'm gonna say. My advice:
I mean,
stack up on items that prevent status ailments, as well as have items that cure status ailments really quickly. Get a fuckload of healing items because you're gonna need that for round three. Yes, this is a 3 round fight. Um, yeah, stack up a healing item, stack up on status ailments. That's all I can say. Or status
uh,
ailments removers and stuff.
what was your most hated status effect?
Um, for me, it would probably have to be paralyze. Uh, because I don't like it when they take away my ability to use a Digimon. Like I would say Dot because it is like one of the best worst debuff abilities, but the way they handle it was so hilarious that I just can't completely hate it. Dotting for most people, for those who need to know, is when you hit your Digimon with that ability, and then they literally turn into an 8-bit sprite version of themselves, thus nullifying them from using their special abilities. Um, it sucks, but it's so hilarious that they managed to do something like that in the first place. But it's anything that just prevents me from using my Digimon. It's either paralyze or panic.
Yeah, I'd say dotting just annoyed me because every time I got dotted, it was always an AoE dot that hit everything.
Oh god.
It's like, hold on, just let me dot your entire team real quick. Boom.
Yeah, there was an eater that did that to me in the first round. That's another thing. The enemies in this game are the eaters, which are these weird eldritch monstrosities that apparently been attacking people all over Eden, which is what causes the main character to get into that cyberized body that they have, and they're just freaky looking. And there was an eater design that, like I said, I don't want to go into spoiler territory, but it is amazing that they localized it and just left that unchanged. You should know which eater boss battle I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do.
that was fucking off the wall bizarre. Um, What else can we talk about this game? Well, it runs the graphics, despite not being top notch because it was a Vita game first. I just thought the game looked beautiful because it ran on 60 FPS, which I know a lot of people hate frame rate people, and that's mostly PC gamers. But it does enhance the quality of the game regardless of how it looks graphically, or at least it does to me. Um, Most people would rather play Digimon on the go, and you can cross save. So if you ever, can't figure out which version to get, I say get both. Like buy one that you get, save money, and get the other one later. There is a cross save feature. Very useful. Let's talk about some of the other. Let's talk about some of the characters. Who's your favorite?
Hmm. I have to say, out of all of them, it would have to be Kyoko.
I was gonna say the same thing. She was a pretty fun character. Um, and she did help you out a lot. Um, Even though you're the one doing all the grunt work. Uh, that being said, her taste of coffee is fucking insane. I don't get it.
She just is open to new experiences,
Since when
but she
putting?
wants you to do them first.
Why would you put mayonnaise in coffee? Why would you put mayonnaise in coffee? That doesn't make any sense.
Some people just like some people just like mayonnaise on everything.
Some people just want to watch the world burn. By the way, I have a. If I ever want to make a wager with you, I know exactly what to do if you lose. So prepare yourself.
And coffee with
Oh yeah,
mayonnaise,
you're gonna get that shit.
or even worse,
Oh
wasabi.
god. Oh god, I tasted wasabi before I didn't like it. Um I guess I'll have to switch to another character. My favorite of the human cast would have to be um well, I could tell you what my least favorite one is, but no, damn, you took the good one.
Yeah, you did ask me
Yeah, I
first,
did. That was a mistake on my end. You know what? I hated Nokia at first. Um,
but she grows on you like a very annoying rash.
Kinda. It, it was just weird that she was the one with the Agumon and Gabumon Digimon that partners with her, and she, yeah, she was definitely annoying. All she did was like whine and bitch at the beginning of the game most of the time, and she would. And that's another thing. Your main character had apparently this is running gag where your character is always late for on arrival, and she berates you for that. But everyone's like, "Man, we told you're late. You should have showed up earlier." Like you could literally be there in like 30 seconds and they'll still say, "God damn it, you're late."
Yep, we are just not as fast as them. Okay. Um,
Oh,
I
I also want to mention
get,
this. I also just happen to like the production team behind this game as well. I mean, you have the artists from Durarara and Devil Survivor 2 um, as your character designer. You have Oh Great, the person who worked on Air Gear as the Digimon designer. They have what's his name, Masafumi Takada, the guy who worked the music composer for both Danganronpa and No More Heroes. Um, which, by the way, the Danganronpa stuff is pretty obvious to catch on quickly. And I think the person who worked on the CG anime cutscenes is the same person who worked on the CG anime openings to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
like with this type of talent setting up this game. Why did Bandai not think people would
I
want
don't
it?
know, dude. There are just some developers that have their heads up their asses. Um, did the game sell well? I haven't been paying attention to sales. Like, the,
I'm pretty sure it sold
I
well.
had a couple.
I mean,
I did listen to a few gaming podcasts, and there were some that said that they did play this and enjoyed it. So I assume they bought the game, and I managed to talk Magus into getting the game. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. They told me never to trust VG charts, so I have no reference. I hope it did, because I do want to get the next Digimon game, because I've made this. I haven't really made this much of a secret, but there's always the Digimon versus Pokemon debate. Most people like both, but I'm gonna be real with you guys. I actually prefer Digimon over Pokemon almost every step. It was my
Like,
friend Multifire who opened my eyes about that too when we used to talk on Skype all the time.
like Digimon just had a lot more going for it than Pokemon. Pokemon was stuck in its formula, while Digimon wasn't. And and I find it really weird that Pokemon's just now trying to change its formula to something slightly different after all these years because they were like dead set in keeping things the way they
Well,
are
that's
forever.
because even though like the company completely doesn't own 100% of Pokemon, it's still considered a Nintendo IP, and Nintendo are very traditionalist. They refuse to change a whole lot. I mean, it's mind blowing that the newest Legend of Zelda game looks the way it is right now. And they've been stuck on that Ocarina of Time formula for over, God, almost 2 decades, really. So, and Pokemon's also about 2 decades old too. So, now, like I said, this is the only Digimon game. I know in terms of anime, I prefer Digimon over Pokemon, but like I said, this is my first Digimon video game I played, so I don't know what the rest are like. They could be garbage, they could be entertaining, they could be a mixed bag of both. Who knows?
World is always good. The World Series.
Actually, I did watch a review of Digimon World 4, and I heard it was completely terrible.
Hmm.
It's
Four's the only one I haven't played yet.
it's not like the other Digimon games. It's basically a top-down action RPG that just doesn't seem that seems lazily designed.
Hmm.
Uh,
And again, I think that was the one that introduced Savers, so that might be why.
Least favorite character in Digimon story. Um, I don't think this one is going to be given any spoilers, but he was an antagonist for like the first act of the game. That would be Jimmy Ken, the rock star dude, who completely rips off of Paul Stanley of Kiss. I'm not kidding. If you can, Google image that character. He has the makeup and everything. I think the big difference is that the star is on the other side. But he was an annoying little bastard, and he was a wake up call boss battle too. Like I said earlier in this game was seemed to feel pretty easy. But then when you fight him 3 times in the main story, and then there's an extra side mission you could do. Um, but the first time I fought him, he was actually pretty tough. I mean, I didn't get any game overs, but he did like put me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, he was definitely an interesting one.
Yeah.
I forgot how I cheesed his fight at the beginning. I remember doing something stupid to get past it.
All right. So what's a character you don't like in this game? Uh, Writing wise, or just a character you love to hate?
Well, Rie was annoying.
Yeah. But she's an antagonist, so that's okay. But let's not. I'm
Yeah.
trying to keep this spoiler
Okay.
free.
If we go, if we go like non-antagonist, a character that annoyed me was Fei Wong,
Yeah, that character. I didn't like her all that much either.
cause like I get her thing of what she's supposed to be. She's she's Yuko's closest friend, quote unquote.
Yeah, that thing. But the funny thing is that character. I don't want to spoil anything, but she just kind of up and disappears at some point in the game. I completely forgot about her.
Yeah, which is weird because for a small moment she's really useful.
Now,
It's kind of. It's kind of weird. Her ethnicity is she's half Japanese, a quarter Chinese, and a quarter Brazilian.
That would explain her ethnically ambiguous design.
Yeah.
She has that poodle haircut.
Hmm.
Um, One character I thought that was interesting was Arata because when you see him the first time, did you not think he looked a lot like the main character from Devil Survivor 2?
Yeah. Man, that's exactly what I
Like
thought.
the same color motif, except he looks a little more pissed off than the main character from Devil Survivor 2.
Yeah.
Um,
And then you see his Digimon
yeah, when
for
I
for the first time, which was
Caramon,
Kurt. Um. Yeah. Wait, was it Caramon at first, or did he go straight into
no,
Kasarimon?
oh, man, I can't tell. Either way, it's the Digimon that eventually digivolves into Diaboromon. So yeah, that kind of made me nervous too.
I'd say Diaboromon can be a bro though.
True. Uh, I know Diaboromon is a botched translation of Diablomon. I just like saying Diaboro. It just sounds catchier than Diablo. It sounds like a
Oh.
cross between Diablo and Ouroboros. You know that virus thing that Wesker wanted to use in Resident Evil 5.
mm, Oh. Another character that I liked was Goru.
Oh, the old man.
Yeah.
The other speaking of police officers, I thought that other character Date was really hilarious. The angry cop.
Yeah. She becomes pretty great later on too. It's she starts off as just being annoying, but you know who was the real hidden gem?
Who?
Pete.
Pete. Pete was definitely an interesting case.
Yeah.
Oh man, wow, just wow. Yeah, there were some really interesting side missions. I mentioned this before, but there was this one mission where some dude's phone kept getting images of flowers for no reason, and then you find out it's a Lilymon taking selfies. Oh man, it's crazy. But yeah, the story starts off pretty small scale, but then by the halfway mark, shit goes down, and then by the third act, shit goes even more down. It was amazing. Like I was already invested in the game in the first place, but by the halfway mark, I was like, oh, I was really getting into it. Um, and I had some man, I had some pretty OP Digimon at the end of the game too. Um, They also have one that was exclusive to this game. It's a DNA Digievolution of Anjumon and Lady Devamon, Mastermon.
Yeah, Mastermon. Mastermon was amazing, and considering the CG scene you get when
Yeah,
you see her views for the first time.
yeah, that was interesting. Yuri undertones. Speaking of, I forgot to mention. I should have mentioned this, but no, Kyoko. I found out what favorite character I wanted to talk about now.
Hmm.
Mirei Mikagura, the character who's basically Elizabeth and Igor put together in this game.
Oh yeah, she's from the first game
Yeah,
too.
she was. I don't know which role she played, but here, like I said,
Same, similar role. She's basically the Igor of the
yeah,
franchise.
in this game you meet her, and apparently she introduces you to the Digilab, and that's where you can raise and train Digimon, and then have them, develop items or search for cases for you. Um, and yeah, the character definitely has a bit of an Elizabeth from Persona 3 vibe to her as well. Um, I really like her design a lot, and apparently she has two Digimon, Anjumon, Lady Devamon. Um, and she wasn't that heavily reliant on the story, but she was in the DLC quests a lot, so she had something important there, but I don't want to give away for spoiler's sake. But I got nothing else to say. Like, it is a traditional JRPG. So if you're into traditional turn-based combat, I do highly recommend this game. If you're a fan, if you were ever a fan of Digimon, I still recommend this game. I don't know how who else I could recommend it to, but I did love this game. It's gonna be in my top 10 list.
Um, did you try any of the online
I
battles yet?
tried one and then I kind of got out of it because I was getting my ass handed to.
Yeah,
Here's the thing.
it's super intense up
Here's the
there.
thing. When I found out about the online mode, I wanted to play against Magus in it. You know, as part of his little Magus versus Darkstream streams. Magus only into he's only in, he only got an hour far into the game.
Uh, yeah, he won't be very
No, and like I said, I got nothing but Mega Digimon in my side, so
yeah.
I could
What
recommend.
about the challenge modes? Did you do those?
I don't. I didn't know. I, no.
It's the offline tournaments where you
Oh,
fight
the
against
offline
like the
Coliseums. Okay,
characters
yeah,
of
I
the
did
game.
those.
Yeah, that rematch against UI Force Feedramon
Ah,
was fun, and by fun I mean the opposite of fun.
no. uh, um. So yeah, I think that's all we got. Like I said, this is a high recommendation. I know this stream was all over the place, but really, it was just to talk about how much we love this game. I really wouldn't call it a review per se, but it is something I could recommend. I mean, it's not going to be part of my great era of gaming vlogs that I want to keep doing, but it is kind of a subsection in that area where I wanted to talk about like niche Japanese games that get localized here that you would never see in the live day for 10 years. And, this was potentially one of those games because there are some Japanese developers who think JRPGs are dead, or they did at one point, but now they're slowly coming around.
Into realizing how being a pessimist about the industry doesn't create innovation.
No, not really. um, so yeah, what were your main party Digimon?
My main party Digimon that I used, um, I keep saying Datamon. It wasn't Datamon. It was Digitamon
The egg.
because because he was super defensive and had that 15% damage attack,
Hmm.
which got me through a good chunk of the boss fights of the game. I used the the one from Savers, the dog with the boxing gloves. His like
I think his name was either
fun,
Galmon or Galgamon.
yeah, and that I was using his mega, which was wind based. I had the dark version of Renamon's mega.
Oh, something Sakyamon. Uh, I don't
Yep.
have I don't have her, but I know what you're talking about. She's actually one of the she's actually like one of the enemy units that you fight near the end of the game.
Mm. I also used Crusadermon,
Yeah, so did I.
and that was mostly my main five. Oh, and was it Serafimon?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it was
have
Serafimon.
Seraphimon too. He was actually the one I used the most for grinding in Odaiba, um, because that attack is just freaking insane. Seven, what was it? 7 light damage to all enemies. Um, but my other Digimon were Mastermon, which we talked about before, because unlike Digitamamon, she could do 25% damage on everyone, which is great for chipping away at enemies with huge health counts. Uh, helped me substantially in the Lucamon battle. Um, I also had Seraphimon. I also had Alphamon and Omegamon, or Omnimon as he's called in this game. Um, who else? I have Mirage Galgamon Burst Mode. Is that the one you had?
Burst mode didn't exist when I was playing through this
Oh
game. He
yeah,
was
it got
added in
patched later
later.
on. But yeah, I got Burst Mode, and
Yeah.
his design is a hell of a lot cooler, dude. He's got like a freaking a light.
Yeah, he's got the Morning
Yeah, he's
Star.
got this huge ass morning star. Oh, that's made purely of light. I have Rosemon Burst Mode, which is my starter Digimon that went all the way to the top. Um, God, who else? Lilithmon, because she does a fuck ton of damage.
Yeah, this is why I told you to
Yeah,
get her.
yeah. Damn, you weren't kidding when you said she does she wreck people. Chaosmon, which is the hybrid of Bancho Leomon, a Leomon that dresses like Jotaro, and Darktramon, which I talked about earlier. His design looks really cool. Um, yeah, I think that was it. I had I had nothing but Mega Digimon at the end in my party, but yeah. Um, now
They had
even
good
yeah,
teams.
even though this game doesn't isn't a direct sequel to Adventure or any of the series, they do pay small homages here and there. For example, you know how Ty and Matt would have their freaking fisticuff moments?
We we get one of
Yeah,
those.
this game definitely gets one of those, but I won't go into too much details. There was one particular dungeon that had nothing but the rookie Digimon from Adventure, and near the end of the game, um, in one particular dungeon, during a random encounter, you would fight three of the four Dark Masters from time to time. Most of the time, you'd be fighting Piedmon and Puppetmon, but sometimes they might be tagged along with either Machine Dramon or Metal Sea Dramon. So little nods here and there that I thought were kind of interesting.
Yep.
Well, like I said, I got nothing else to say. I might definitely play this game again in New Game Plus because I heard there's some extra content even after that. Um, yeah, love this game. Love Digimon. Definitely hope the next game gets localized.
Remember, we just gotta yell at
Yeah, I
Bandai.
guess I have to yell at Bamco. Um, because they're oh man, like they're not the worst company out there, but yeah, they're definitely not Konami. Let's just put it this way: it could be worse. But at the same time, I
Yes,
still think there's room improvement for those guys.
you're just being like two steps above the worst isn't a great thing to brag about.
True. Well, that's all I got. I don't know how else to end this.
Uh, just play the game and make Digimon relevant again.
Yeah, that would help. Make Digimon relevant again. All right, this is Darkscream 217 signing out.
And catch you later.